things are crazy, and we have a packed show tonight. So we're going to dive straight into it. I hope those of you who celebrated had a great Thanksgiving, and the holiday season is not too crazy, but we can all talk about that in the chat because I gotta get things rolling. You might notice that I am not alone on the screen, and it's not Brendan LaSalle, so something has gone horribly wrong. So joining me tonight is a man who requires no introduction, but I will give one anyway because he signs my paycheck. So everybody, this is me and Joseph Goodman. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike.
I
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
I think it might have been on the first episode.
Sounds right.
Maybe, but not since then. So welcome back.
So, Mike, I got plenty of time tonight, so I was going to ask you how your holidays are going.
my holidays have been crazy.
So, did you buy a tree yet?
No, I do not. I do not engage in treedom.
You just like to cut them down?
It's too much. It's too much. It's my mother does a lovely tree every year, and if I want to go see it, I can drive over there, and when I'm done seeing it, I can drive away. So so that's it. That's all. And I don't have to worry about putting it up or taking it back down. No, it's the all perfect thing.
Mine is currently lying horizontal on the floor in my living room, and one of these days I'm going to get around to putting it up. But right now it's like a flat tree. Just
I
run a little behind.
I hope it's an artificial one.
No, it's currently attracting rodents and small animals that are building nests. I got to get it put up soon.
Right. Okay. So we'll get the ultraviolet light out so you can see all the scorpions.
Yeah, man, seriously,
at this point.
It's the season.
Well, Joe, I would love to talk about your tree and the scorpion farm that you're starting out with, but we've got a lot of people on that aren't you. So let's get into the reason I had you on tonight, because we made an announcement last week, and a lot of people were like, what does this mean? And I know because I went to a lot of meetings, but not everybody else did. So, Joe, why don't you talk about what's going on with Diamond Books and with Flat River Group, and what does that mean for the people at home?
Yeah, great question, Mike. So, in short, if you buy your games currently in a game store, nothing really changes. Game stores will still get Goodman Games products in pretty much the same way they always have, which means from their distributor. But a couple levels upstream of that, certain things change. And for new markets, important, exciting things happen. So the thing that we're doing with Diamond Book Distributors opens up access for Goodman Games fans to buy products at places like independent bookstores, comic book shops, and potentially national book chains. So it's a pretty significant arrangement that opens up. Like, those places could already get our products through other ways, but it's a much more natural way for them to buy it from a book distributor or a comic book distributor. So that's what the Diamond deal opens up. And then the Flat River Group announcement is really almost like doesn't mean much unless you know some of the inner workings of the industry. But to make a long story short, we formerly sold to a middleman who in turn sold the game distributors that in turn sold the game stores. We are performing a classic business move of cutting out the middleman. So we will now sell directly to distributors who will sell directly to game stores. That middleman was Flat River Group, who we're no longer working with.
Passing the savings on to you, right?
No. But Mike, you'll get an incredibly huge raise when bonus season comes around. Right.
Yes. So, and hopefully this will maybe be more lucrative, percentage wise to the local game store or something. Maybe they come out.
It actually will benefit. There's, without getting too technical, there's about 2 points of margin room that actually opens up that we're passing on to distributors. So Goodman Games effectively comes out exactly the same, but we're giving distributors a 2 percentage point better deal. And what they do is up to them, but we are hopeful they pass on some version of that to their retail partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the big question that a lot of people had, especially those who dwell north of our lovely border, they have a lot of questions about, because obviously, we've been expanding, we've been doing a lot of efforts to make, to reach other markets and to make shipping costs, bring that down, and everything. Does this necessarily affect anything of what, does that make things cheaper, across the border, or,
It'll open up directly, no, but it opens up possibilities for that. Some of you may remember that time we shipped out the DCC Linkmar project, where between 1 and 800 boxes had the wrong stuff in them. I won't name an exact number, but it was between 1 and 800. I'm really trying to avoid airing dirty laundry. But the company that did that, we are no longer working with, and we are now working with other slightly more reliable fulfillment partners. And that will open up other doors so that we can then work with my goal in the same way that Spiral Galaxy works in the UK to fulfill our UK and EU orders to customers there. I actually interviewed somebody at Gen Con, a company, and I want to work with hopefully that company if it works out, but a company, whoever their best partner might be, which means if you know a great fulfillment company in Canada, let me know. But yes, I would like to work with a fulfillment company in Canada that can ship Canadian orders, from inside Canada, which is slightly more complicated for us, but ultimately saves consumers a whole lot of headache and usually some dollars too.
Yeah, I mean that we have been undergoing efforts for some time now, just trying to, But what I kid about, and I'm not actually not kidding, is that I spent the first year in this role learning how to do my job, and then I've spent the last year relearning how to do my job because basically the entire industry has undergone like one of those great, seismic shifts, whether it's because of changes in the distribution model because of COVID or the stuff that went down with the OGL and everything. So it's in some ways I felt like it set us back a little bit, but it also now opened up other opportunities that we're now in a position to take advantage of. So
Exactly. Yeah. Change always means change, but usually means opportunity if you look at it in the right ways. And the last years have been nothing but change.
yeah. So that is good news. So it will allow Goodman Games products to be available in places where it might not otherwise be. But for the most part, it doesn't really affect most of your rank and file, DCC, fifth edition fantasy fans, So
Correct. Most fans, I don't think will notice much of a difference. Actually, sorry, the one place you might notice difference, again, to make a long story short, our Amazon listings will improve dramatically. Right now, without getting into complications, Amazon listings for Goodman Games fall under the wrong category. So with Diamond's help, they will now appear properly as the same category as D&D, which means that if you look at D&D, currently the Amazon algorithm never recommends, if you like D&D, try out DCC. That will change once Diamond is in charge. So most consumers probably won't notice that, except for once, you might actually start getting recommendations that are a little more aligned with your interests if you happen to be a DCC fan.
So all said and done, it's a very positive thing for Goodman Games. It's a positive thing for the fans. We have to. Of course, there's always the smoothing out the inevitable bumps along the way. But hopefully, very soon, people will begin to be perhaps seeing DCC in some surprising places where they might not have seen it before. So
quite possibly, yes.
Very productive meeting today, and there was a lot of good feedback and positive attitude about that. So we'll see what that. So. Speaking of new opportunities and new things on the horizon in the months ahead, we made another announcement recently, and this one actually affects we'll leave it up to the fans. So we're doing a little something in January that you might want to delve into now.
Yeah, so we have something called the Indie RPG Creator Summit, and for the past 2, 3, 4 years, people keep asking me questions about, how did Goodman Games happen? How did you do this? How did you do that? And I know, Mike, you get a lot of questions along those lines too. And it's not just the two of us. A lot of folks at Goodman Games have gotten all these questions about how we did specific things or asked for advice on certain aspects of the business or the publishing model. And instead of answering all those questions as one-offs, we decided to take it a little bigger and actually have a little summit to answer the questions in a broad form and to recruit a lot of our friends to come along with us and help answer some of those questions. So some of the folks you'll be seeing later on actually on your show, Mike, will be involved as well. But we've now put together a 3-day panel of, it's kind of amazing actually how many topics are covered. Every aspect of indie RPG publishing, from the, editing, adventure design, art direction, graphic design, layout, crowdfunding, all of that is days 1 and 2. And then day 3, which you have to pay to attend in the spirit of you got to spend money to make money, is where we have certain sessions on, lining up distribution deals. We just added a session on the fundamentals of RPG translation deals. How to, I'm too excited. I'm getting too much detail. You can look at the page in the rpgcreatorsummit.com, but there's a ton of interesting sessions to teach prospective or aspiring publishers, as well as experienced publishers, all this stuff we know and a lot of stuff that other people know as well. We're still adding sessions. We just added diversity in RPG art direction. We're adding a session on marketing and selling English language RPGs to Latin American markets, which is, we've actually started working, long story short, with some distributors in Mexico. And actually, Mike, I didn't tell you this yet. They invited us to this huge convention in Mexico City, which is happening later this year, to run games for them. So yeah, so like it's amazing what is out there once you start sort of opening the floodgates. So we're going to try to share some of that knowledge with whoever wants to attend and learn from it.
Okay. Yeah, I think people might not have realized quite the depth and the breadth of what topics we're covering. This is not just like how to write an adventure that doesn't suck. This is like basically how to do everything that's part of the industry. Whether you need to know it or not.
Yeah. And it's a lot of stuff I learned the hard way. And, I'm going to I had mentors for certain things, but other things I just bumbled my way through until I figured out the right answer. So you can bumble your way through, or you can show up and try to learn a little bit from us.
Yeah. So take advantage of the hard knocks that Joe has taken to get to where he is now. So all for a reason. All for the first 2 days are free, and if you want to hear like the really dirty secrets, you have to spend a little extra to hang around. So
Yeah.
All right.
And then, Mike, I had one more thing. I wanted to give your viewers an exclusive sneak peek on something that I'll be posting on a Kickstarter update soon. But I actually just see if Zoom lets me show this. Zoom is not letting me show this. So let me turn off my Zoom. You're all going to see my office. There we go. All right. So these are actually the slipcases for Dark Tower. These are the physical production mock-ups. Just got these in the mail. They actually turned out pretty cool, but they're not perfect, which I'll show you in a sec. But anyway, this is for the 5e version. And then this is the slipcase for the DCC version. And if you've been following the Kickstarter, we basically, all the books are approved. They turned out great. We are basically finalizing the slipcases as the last step in the production process. So I don't know if you can see the foil at all. There's this really cool, see if I can get this sparkly foil. Yes, there you go. You got to show the foil. And one of the things I want to get changed, the foil on this is the 5e version edition. The name of the module is Dark Tower, and this is the most sparkly, like rainbow bright foil we could have picked. So as soon as it looked great on the catalog, but when I picked it up, I was like, this is like sparkly tower, not Dark Tower. So I asked for some other possibilities for foils. So we're going to reevaluate that foil. And then we got what is called a deboss, which basically is like a smushed in or indented. I don't know if you can see it on here. The deboss is so tiny. I want this to be more of an actual texture to it, a contour. And right now it's like a 0.5 millimeter. So they're going to do a version that has a much more stamp it harder. Yeah, exactly. So I'm waiting on one more set of samples. But hopefully the next set will be, perfect. I mean, none of this is wrong. It's just, it could be a little better. And we'll post an update on that soon, but we're this close to having Dark Tower finished once the slipcases are complete.
Yep. So it's been a long journey, but we can see that light at the end of the tunnel, and we're at this point we're pretty sure it's not a train. So so we're looking at figuring that out. So, all right. Well, I would love to have you stick around and talk more about your Christmas tree, but unfortunately, I've got 4 other people waiting in the wings who want to get out here. So, so thank you for coming on, Joe, and
thanks, Mike.
We'll be back with my next guest in just a few moments. So stick around. And we're back. And joining me this time is yet another person who probably requires no introduction for the studio audience at home, but I will give him one nonetheless. Join me, Mr. Joey Royale. How you doing, Joey?
Ciao, paisans. Live from the Sparkle Tower. It's Joey Royale. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good. I think what happened with the Dark Tower slipcase is that I think they were actually using your backdrop as the influence for the foil on there. I think that's what the problem was. So
I cut a little bit off and I sent it in the mail to Joseph. I said, give this a shot. It'll be beautiful.
Cutting things out and sending them in the mail. That's how I got my first Boba Fett.
Yeah. With the firing rocket, of course. You were the one that had the firing rocket Boba Fett.
No, actually, I have a story. I have a story about that, but it was actually my Luke Skywalker, and I don't have time for it tonight. I'll tell you at some other time.
All right.
Actually, that'll be my seminar at Gen Con. We're talking an hour seminar of what happened with Mike and his sent away Luke Skywalker in 1984. All right. Well, as people know, this is the show where we talk about what's coming up in the world of DCC, and I took a look at the release schedule for December, and wow, no, this week there is a whole bunch of stuff from Get Haunted Industries, and I wanted you to come on and talk about some of that. So because I'm looking, and I've got at least 5 or 6 products which are all going to be on the web store in 2 days. So let's dive into it. Let's start with the thing that people probably already know about, but let's start in the city, baby. Let's start in this is your Jane Austen inspired RPG, right? Called Ninja City, right?
Yes, Jane Austen meets the Wu-Tang Clan. So it's Jane Eyre enters the 36 chambers of death. So yeah, Ninja City, boy, that was a fun one. It's basically I reskinned Dungeon Crawl Classics to be ninjas in the VHS 80s. I mean, something, that's what everybody's been asking for years. Joey, I want to play DCC, but ninjas, you got it. And there it is.
So this one has been out for a while now. This is, was this your first Get Haunted release, or?
No, the first Get Haunted release. So the first release ever was One of Us that I did with Tim DeShane.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then I did Darkest Dice, which was my chick tracked OSR rules. And then Ninja City was my first proper third party DCC thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. No. So I mean, One of Us had to be, that was 3 years ago. That wasn't before COVID, was it?
Oh, that was before COVID. That was before I was able to grow a proper mustache. So we're talking at the dawn of Joey Royale. Yeah, that was a while ago. That's at least, what is it now? It's probably like 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago. Jeez, I'm getting old.
I remember, because I remember I contributed to that. I remember Tim asking me.
Yeah, you did a wonderful job. You did some of the monsters.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was like during the downtime that I had during COVID or not. So
yeah.
So has Ninja City been available through the Goodman Games store before?
Yes, Ninja City has been available before. I was very grateful that Joseph, when that came out, that was my first thing that went up on the website. So I called my ma. I finally made it, Ma. I'm on the interwebs. And so that was that, and he picked up Darkest Dice too. And because of the blast we had at Gen Con this year, Michael, we are in the final stretch of production on Ninja City Demon Drug Disco, which is the adventure that was whipped up one night at a pizza restaurant with me, Tim D, Brendan, and James Podzanel. We were all sitting around. I'm like, guys, I got to write a story. I mean, I gotta run a story in a minute. They're like, all right, this is. They all threw a couple of meatballs in the pot. Boom, we played it with Diogo and the Epic Levels guys, and now I'm putting it on paper. The same artist, Joe the artist, my buddy from a long time ago, he's doing the art again, and the Neon Lord's doing the layout. I cannot wait for everybody to see this. It's crazy.
Okay, is that going to be crowdfunded?
Yeah, that's going to be crowdfunded. It's going to be a Kickstarter, but it's going to be one of those nice ones because it's done. So I do the Kickstarter. I pay my guys so they don't break my legs. It's off to Mix'em, and it's in everybody's hand. I guarantee it.
Perfect. All right. So if you've not picked up Ninja City before and you want to, on Wednesday we will have that on the Goodman Games store. Excellent. And we'll make sure Joey. I think Joey's already got his cut out of it right now. I think we have to pay our cut or something. I don't know how the back end works. All right. But that's just one of many. So let's the next one that I have on my list is the June manifestations. And that sounds like so relaxing. I'm picturing nothing but like balmy summer afternoons and
some country time lemonade, that kind of thing. Pepperidge Farms. No, it's much darker than that. Michael, I was given one of my friends that I met through DCC, Christopher Messamori, said, Joey, read this article. And it was about working on something for 30 days straight, making 30 things for 30 days. So I started to do these paintings, and I'm not an artist at all. I'm the only one in my family that can't oil paint or anything like that. My dad, my sisters, they're all wonderful. So I do my knucklehead stuff in the basement. I got a thing of white acrylic, black acrylic, and a bunch of the little things from the little whatever they call it, the panels from the dollar store. And I painted 30 monstrosities, like guys like this, stuff that you like to go to sleep to. The things I wake up in the middle of the night and they're staring at me. But basically, I made 30 of these, and I tied it to Weird Heroes of Public Access. So each one of these is a manifestation that popped up, through a television, but there's a little adventure hook to each one. That's it. No stats, nothing like that. Just the picture. For example, this one says, the lighthouse spews a siren of violence. The beach children long for its older song. So there you go. You got a whole adventure right there if you're nuts like me.
Now,
the beach show? What's the lighter?
would I be going out on a stretch if I was said this was perhaps inspired by a certain book that you recommended during your top five horror novels on the Keep Crawling not too long ago?
That's why they pay you the big bucks, Curtis. Absolutely. Yes, this is inspired partly by the Mysteries of Harris Burdick, one of my favorite children's books of all time that I highly recommend to everybody.
And thank you very much for sending me my own copy of that.
Of
So I do
course.
appreciate that. So,
Of course.
so
Chris
okay.
Van Allsburg is the author. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have not if you've not heard of this before, you can go back and watch the last episode of Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan. We had Joey on. We talked about favorite horror books. That was one of it, and or you can just watch this and go look that up on whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done.
This was an exercise in commitment to 30 days. It was an exercise in just painting or doing art, which I write. I don't do art. I don't paint. Writing is an art. I don't paint. So I said, let me try this. But it's also an exercise in creative writing. It's what can you do with one sentence or two sentences? How does that seed? How do you fertilize that seed into a plant?
Well, I'm looking forward to checking it out. I mean, I have access to the PDF, so I've seen a little bit of it, but not like holding it in your hands.
It's a strange one.
All right. Well, now let's go in. Let's talk about something which actually covers a lot of ground because there's actually 4 or 5 different products which are all kind of part of this, and that is, I know it as WHPA Fairhaven, but WHPA stands for
Weird Heroes of Public Access.
and in case you can't figure out what that means by what it says on the tin, what is WHPA Fairhaven, and then why should people be buying it?
It's the role-playing game you never knew you wanted, but you need. It simply put, you play a public access host in a suburban town on the cusp of 60s, 70s, 80s that is overtaken by the supernatural. So think Kolchak the Night Stalker, think Columbo, think Walter Mercado from Univision, all smashed together. That's you are a weird hero. You are somebody who are putting their reputation on the line by exposing your niche passion on a small-time radio station. I mean, a TV station. And then when you're not filming something, you're out figuring out where the Fairhaven Iceman escaped from the circus. Where did he end up?
That sounds like this sounds like it's basically on some like all those things that you mentioned, but also a little bit dash of UHF. The role play.
Come on. I'm a huge Weird Al fan. You kidding me? Look at me. Actually, there's no I can't I should have brought that up. Weird Al. So this is what I did, Michael. So I make the list. All right. What are the things I love? And that then turns into what I'm going to make. Top of the list, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Weird Al Yankovic, UHF, Beyond Vaudeville. If you haven't seen Beyond Vaudeville, look it up on YouTube. It's New York public access from the 80s. And I'm like, I love role-playing games too. Let's somehow mix up this sauce. And it worked.
So this is WHPA Fairhaven is going to be available in the Goodman Game Stop, but it's not just WHPA Fairhaven. There's also a couple of other things which are going to be on there. There's the WHPA Station Manager's Guide. And is that basically your Dungeon Master's Guide for WHPA?
No, it's funny. I kind of screwed up naming it that because as soon as I got it in the mail, I'm like, oh man, everybody's going to buy the wrong one first. So, but I like, throwing that mystery out there too. So WHPA, the pink one, that's the core rules and a little bit of flavor in there. All right. Mm-hmm. So you got the core rules and then some more adventure hooks. These are all advertisements from my old newspaper. So I went back on the digital copies of the day paper from 1984. And I picked out some restaurants and locations that I used to go to with my family. For example, the always popular Pizza Pipes and Pandemonium, which was a pizza place and restaurant that had a giant pipe organ, Michael. It was the spot to have birthday parties. So, of course, in the game, the pipe organ has some sort of bardic qualities that will summon a demon or something like that. Station Manager's Guide. When you get in the Station Manager's Guide, and you get into stuff like the Tales from Fairhaven. These are all adventure supplements. When you go for these, the Tales from Fairhaven volumes 1 and 2, this is like kind of like your weekly world news, that you used to get at the Stop and Shop. Like this one right here, the Iceman leaveth. So once this is the Iceman from the carnival that escapes and terrorizes the neighborhood. And you got Ned and Edna Hamburger, who are the people that witnessed this. Then you got some grainy photos, all sorts of stuff like that. But Station Manager's Guide is a little bit darker, more fleshed out adventures with some monsters. For example, the Goo Man slime that comes about after some corpses are processed. We got the Paper-Faced Man, which is a haunted painting seen in some homes. And then here you go right here. You have the wanted. This is Melvin and Carol, 2 children that have been possessed by the painting. They are official Royale children. I created those 2 as well. Those are 2 of my projects that I spent 9 months on.
So you don't have to worry about lawsuits. That's it.
No lawsuits. Everything in here, like the names I use are either people from my actual childhood, the strange people from around town over the years.
Who's that handsome guy on the cover of Tales?
Oh, buddy, you just cracked the egg. This is our good friend Sherman Glimp. Sherman Glimp. So this all started, Mike, around COVID. I was lonely. There was nothing going on. So I really dove into this city, right? And I started I had the Fairhaven 99. So I was selling the WHPA, the core book. Sorry, I got a cold right now. I was selling the core book, and if you were part of the first 99 people to buy a core book, every month for free, I'd send you something in the mail. All right. And one of the first ones I did was the obituary for poor Sherman Glimp, who owns Glimp Bytes, which was a computer software and repair store in Fairhaven. They'd fix up your Amigas or your 2Es, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he also came with a funeral card. Like you get, like when I was a kid, you go to funerals and you'd collect the funeral cards like baseball cards. I got a whole collection of them. But on the back, there was a cryptoquote they had to solve. And what you find out, I'll spill the beans a little bit. Glimp's not dead. All right.
Just like Paul McCartney.
Yeah, right. So this is not on the Goodman site, but it's going to go on soon. I finally devoted a whole zine to him.
Ooh.
The life, death, and undeath of Sherman Glimp, so you can go even deeper down there. But Sherman has become the living embodiment of Fairhaven. He is Fairhaven incarnate, just a do-gooder with a deck of cards stacked against him, willing to sacrifice himself for the good of all.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to learn more about that. Unfortunately, I will just let everybody know we're probably going to go long tonight. Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to thank you, X Tech, which is going to be another one only. So I'm just going to tell everybody is on Wednesday, this stuff will all be available through the Google site. So go and just buy it all.
Wednesday, Prince Spaghetti Day. It's the perfect time.
Exactly. There you go. So, all right, Joey, I've got to move things along, but thank you very much for coming on and letting everybody know the awesomeness that is in Hive. And I sense that you might actually be appearing on Twitch again in the near future.
Yeah, Wednesday night, Joey Royale's Pizza Party, December edition with luscious Levi Combs, the Neon Lord, Dr. Metal, and Tim Snyder, Country Meat Crawl Classics. Michael, Thank you for all that you do. I really look up to you, and I love you like a brother. Have a great week, buddy.
Hey, Paisan. So I will have a great holiday season if I don't talk to you before.
Man.
All right. So we're going to be out, and I'm going to drag some more people out of the green room in just a second. Hey, Hey, everybody, I'm back, and I've brought more people this time around. Joining me for the first time, I believe, on the show is Levi Combs, and joining for the second time on the show is Luau Lou. So, guys, welcome to the Mall of Mike. And I understand that today is a very important day in your lives right now. Could you could you talk about what happened today and why people should be very excited?
We launched a Kickstarter, brand new. It's the third DCC compatible adventure module for Planet X games. Lou wrote this monstrosity of a scenario that is, absolutely wild.
So this is a third one for Planet X Games, and I think we'll start talking with Lou because he knows all the secrets. Apparently, he knows all the stuff which is going to most likely impact the players' lives. So, Lou, why don't you give us tell us about Assault on Witchgate 13? That, first of all, how did it come about? Did corner you in a dark alley and said, "I need another thing, just write it for me," or
Nah, man, I've been a big fan of this guy forever. Back Mummy Bride, I heard about it on a podcast, and I was seeking it out. Got on Facebook, was asking people, "Hey, where can I get this Tomb of the Mummy's Bride?" And happened to run right into him. He said, "Yeah, I'm the guy that wrote it." And we met up in North Texas, and it's been an awesome friendship ever since. And so I was wanting to become a small publisher. He's kind of already blazing that trail. And I get a phone call one night, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about doing something for Planet X?" And I'm like, yes. You had me at hello, So he's pitching back and forth some ideas that he had of things to be developed. And we got to talking about Assault on Witchgate 13. And to be real honest with you, the premise, hey, let's do a prison break. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's tough, man. That is some tough territory to write an RPG about. But then I'm like, well, it's time to see if I got the chops or not, So we shot back and forth some ideas about what it had to have in it and what would make it cool. And that's where she got born. So the premise is it's kind of in reverse. You're not going to break out of the prison. You're going to break someone else out of the prison.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the thing is, these kind of adventures always die on the vine right off the bat, because if you tell players, "Hey, you're going to break into prison or out of prison or whatever," then you got a solid hour of planning, right? You go, "Oh, we should buy this, we should buy that, we should," and it just it's so the idea we came up with is to do this cutscene thing where, throw them right in the middle of the thick of it, and then as you're playing, when it's a good downbeat, reveal some information they'll need to know, help them have a moment to set up a scene where it makes sense what they're doing, and they have a chance to do some planning and to figure out what they brought with them to do what they're doing. And so we kind of invented a kind of sort of mechanics, sort of game feature that does that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, right off the bat, you were in this place called the Seditious Sea. This is my map, not the game's map, but so you're going to the crown of the earth, right, where this prison is. And you start off here in this frozen sea. It dethaws for just, a few months at a time, and merchants can use it to, whip around the continent. So it's, just a real slingshot kind of thing where they're trying to get around before it freezes again. But the adventurers, they're wanting to get onto that ice flat that's part of the sea so that they can continue heading north. And there's all these frozen ships, and it's, just this graveyard of destruction there, of merchant ships that didn't make it. And you start off right in there, and you start off right away with a confrontation with these things called the shiverback trolls. And they're just pounding on the ship that you're, hunkered down in. And that's your introduction, But so you continue on through trying to get to the prison. And there's a lot of intrigue and mystery about why you're going. You're trying to break this prisoner out, but who's the lady that hired you, and why does she want him out? She says he's been imprisoned for unjust reasons. It's it's just like a lot of things that he does and a lot of things that I do. It's got layers, right? It's got all sorts of things going on. Obviously Assault on Precinct 13 is an inspiration for it. And then, I wanted to bring in kind of the whole Frankenstein, the novel Frankenstein, how it starts off in the bitter north. So we got that going on.
Yeah, it's like well, the self-titled Witchgate 13. I mean, whether that is the name of the prisoner or something, is that like the magical supermax? Is that like it sounds like it's way off in the middle of nowhere, so it's the place where
Yeah.
you get, like the really bad guys,
Yeah, so it's kind of like these hags run this thing, and they're kind of at the beckoning of the gods. And so if you do something that really furrows their feathers, they're like, that guy. I want that guy to suffer. And so the hags have their ways of getting them into the prison. And there's some themes there, like there's the prime prison, and there's like a theme of elements in there, and so there's like people. I don't want to compare it to the Dante's Inferno, because it's in no way, shape, or form that level of artistry. But that was kind of part of the inspiration, is like having different tortures in there that are thematic to what the prisoner did. And then there's a maximum security part of it that goes into a whole nother dimension. And then the people
is of course where the PCs are going to have to go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's never in the first cell right inside the door.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a 20 level tower, it's always at 20th level, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no. I do like the fact that you have you use kind of like a in media res beginning for this. Is I did the same thing with Mask of Lankmar for a lot of the same reasons. I just wanted to cut out all of that, possibly a premise rejection. Like, well, why do we want to break into it? Or to like, wait, we forgot to buy 50 feet of rope. I literally was like, you are at the vault you're supposed to break into. The guards have showed up, rolled for combat, and then after the fight's over, I go around the table like, okay, how do you break into the villa? And then everybody gets around. I'm like, well, I disguise myself as a nun, or like one guy's like, I've been digging a tunnel. It's a really great chance for them to like just to kind of completely role play something, and you get a lot of that investment, without having to worry about like, did you buy a nun costume? It's like, So Levi, this is kind of interesting, because I'm used to a lot of the times when I'm dealing with third-party publishers, they are here to talk about something that they specifically wrote. It's like they had an idea, they went through the process of it. You're like leveling up in the third-party publisher. You are now getting to the point of like, do my bidding, So how has this evolved in Planet X? Like, do you see yourself being more of like the publishing role, or just or has that kind of always been your kind of like what you wanted to do? You wanted to help mentor and help get other people's work out, or tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I started off writing all my own stuff.
We all do.
Yeah. Probably the first, I don't know, 10 or 12 things I wrote. It was just, that I published, it was all just things I wrote. And then I started, you meet more people, you go to cons, you end up meeting a ton of people that you end up admiring. And Lou was one of those people that I knew, like, from the moment I met him, I knew I liked him. It was the year of COVID, and we were both at basically the last con that was open for the year. And there were only like 80 of us. It was supposed to, usually there's 500-600 people there at this little small con, but there was just hardly anybody there. And Lou was one of those folks. And we just kind of bonded over over that con, and we just talked a lot. And I knew after reading his the first couple things that he wrote, I was like, man, I've got to work with this guy, because not only do I like him as a person, I admire him as a writer. So yeah, it's just when a spot opened up in the kind of the schedule of things that I was doing, I was like, man, he would be the perfect guy to write one of the. I had a couple things actually. I was like, he would kill any of these, and that in Witchgate 13 was the one that he chose out of that bunch.
Okay, all right. Do you think this is this something that you think you want to continue doing? Do you want to?
No, absolutely. I did one last year with another guy that I'd met at a con, Mike Pike. We did 3 curses for Sister Saren, like kind of like three mules for Sister Sarah, but with demons. So we did that one, and then I'm doing another one with Ian McGarty from the Silver Boulets. He's done some MCC stuff. He's a great member of the community. We're doing one called Beyond the Screaming Tower. So we've got that in the can. And then Daniel Bishop's got some stuff. A couple other good. So just people that I admire, that I really like, that I find to be good folks, but also like, these are just great creative minds. So yeah, same deal.
Well, I applaud you because, I mean, there's a lot of people get into this because they want to get their stuff out, and that's basically what they do. But you've taken it to the next level where you're actually, you're providing a platform for other people, to help, disseminate other people's creativity, and that is one of the best things you can bring to the community at large, because I mean, there are a lot of people out there who they're very creative, but they don't know the first thing. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing the indie RPG summit, to kind of help, spread this sort of information and get people to be able to level up and to move to that thing and understand, how the entire process works. So.
Well, the way that, when I was trying to get my foot in the door in this biz, it wasn't easy. I knew one guy, but that one guy, he opened the door for me. It was Casey Christopherson from Frog God Games. He, he literally introduced me to artists. He got me, people who could convert stats. He walked me through the whole process of Kickstarter. I was like, "What's a Kickstarter?" I had no idea. He just really opened the door for me and was a very motivating force. So I just got lucky in that I found that guy, that somebody who was genuine and really wanted to help. So it's been kind of ingrained in me to do the same. When it came to be my turn to do the same for other people, I want to be that guy.
All right, that's very admirable. All right, so I'm going to ask, since both of you were involved in Assault on Wishgate 13. All right, what's one of your favorite things about it without kind of spoiling it? Is there like a certain encounter, a monster, or just something that that really sticks you out? It's like, oh yeah, I had fun, writing this, or when I read this, what Lou put together, or I suggested this, So give me something to put the people at home on tenterhooks and waiting for this to be available later on this month. No, so. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. This is all going to to back it right now. I'm just, I have people who have stuff available this month. I have people crowdfunding it, so yeah.
So for me, my favorite. So there's a lot of big set pieces in this. Like he was saying with the cutscene mechanic, you can you start out right in the middle of things, and then you gain information as you're going. But that opens the door for all these great big, like, fantastic locations, set pieces. And my favorite of all those is the Seditious Sea. It's this vast graveyard of frozen ships. Okay, which is just, it's great terrain. It's memorable. You can, when you're describing it, like it's a thing you can see in your head. For me, if you ever saw that that TV show, The Terror, it was yeah, so like you remember how the ship was frozen and all this weird stuff's going on. You got the Aurora Borealis in the sky and there's monsters afoot. It brings to life that sort of feel for me. But that's definitely my favorite set piece. Also, because there, one of the stretch goals is that you can we have these sheets where you can print out sections of ruined ships and you can build. You just you can just copy them off and then build different sizes and kinds of ships that you can put on your map. So you move your miniatures around and whatnot. Right. So that, to me, that's just really, really cool. I think that was all Lou's idea.
That sounds, not only does that sound cool, that sounds something that it's useful even after you run Assault on Wishgate 13 or something, like just having that sort of stuff around is
absolutely.
Lou, what's your favorite, which is not hopefully one that not Levi just mentioned?
I got to go with the hags themselves. So there's every kind of hag that you could think of, folklore wise in there that's running this thing, and then a couple new ones we threw in, and they each have a personality, and each one of them's just a cruel, cold-hearted something or other that's always trying to like they all hate the sea hag because she smells really bad, and they make her live down in this like icy sea cave, and she hates them for that. And there's this like this structure of what do you call it, turmoil going on within the wardens of the prison that the players can take advantage of or pick up on. And I think that's just really fun. It's just really fun to try to come up with 6 different really evocative hags and personalities to go with them. That, and there's a demon that lives in the ice of the whole structure that keeps it frozen, that they've kind of bound in there, and he's kind of cool because he can't say anything. He's not physical. He just kind of shows up and does some little magical things that screws with the players. It's kind of fun.
Wow. As it seems like you are adhering to the what is long been established is that no one likes to see hag. All right. Well, guys, I wish you nothing the best of luck on the campaign. I hope it is a roaring success. And if you have not yet backed it, you can just go over to a little thing called Kickstarter and type in "Assault on Witchgate 13," and it will take you exactly where you should be spending your money. So, thank you both for coming on and giving us the scoop on Assault on Witchgate 13. And
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank
no
you.
problem. And we're going to take a quick break and come back with yet another person to talk to us about stuff tonight. So just stick around for a little while longer. Hey, everybody. I am back, and joining me is my last guest of the evening. Everybody, this is Mr. Eric Bloat. Eric Bloat, this is everybody.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you very much for coming on. This is it's been a very popular time for Kickstarters this close to the holiday season. So since we brought Levi and Luau come on to talk about one that's launched today, let's have you on and talk about one that's ending in I think tomorrow or the day after.
Tomorrow, yeah, about 24 hours. Yeah, so on BackerKit, actually right now, BackerKit's their new crowdfunding platform. We're trying our first campaign, which has done really well. It's a campaign for a set of 3 adventure zines, which are called Underworld, and they are they're fantasy tabletop role-playing game adventures, but they are inspired by retro video games from like the Nintendo NES era. So if you're a fan of Zelda, I highly recommend you check those out. And I did a series of zines last year, like Overworld, Night World, Robo World. And these were all zines that had they were monster bestiaries based on retro video games, monsters and stuff like that. And so everyone kept saying, well, you got to write some adventures for it. So we found an opening and we went for it and launched a campaign. So if you're into tabletop role-playing games, you're into fantasy role-playing games, and if you're into retro video games, recommend checking out Underworld. It ends like tomorrow, right around this time.
See, that's the problem. You go through all this effort to make something that's really creative, and you hand it to the people and say, here's all the stuff you need to write your own adventures. And they turn around and say, great, write that adventure for me because I don't have time.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but that's a good problem to have, though. It really is. It's much better than getting no feedback or no response.
Oh, very much so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, even bad criticism is worse than no response whatsoever. I would rather. Sure. I have a quote hanging over my board, so which looks up to me and it reminds me every time I get too big for my britches. But I would rather have that than, hey, I put all this time and effort in something and I released it and it sank like a stone. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all right. So obviously we've talked. The inspirational sources for Underworld are, obviously Legend of Zelda is a big point. Like how can you do something from the the NES era, and not that's anything in the fantasy related and
right.
not be tapping into Legend of Zelda. Right. Are you drawing any other classics in there? I mean,
there'll be stuff. A lot of people who played all the RPGs. So like the Legend of Zelda, Dragon Warrior, the original Final Fantasy. Really, if you were like a child of the 80s and you played the NES and those type games, you're going to pick up a lot of inspiration from that. There's a lot of I would say like winks to the audience. If you're familiar with that stuff, you'll be like, oh yeah, I see where that's coming from. So we do a lot of fan service for this project. That's something that was growing up that was very important to me, or like something that I look back on very nostalgically or fondly. And so we definitely try to, for these particular series of stuff, we try to incorporate as much references as we can.
I hope that there are instructions that before playing this game, you have to pick it up, you have to blow into it a couple of times and slap on it in order to make sure they're working properly, right?
Exactly, for sure.
Slap the judge a couple of times, make sure that it's functioning properly. Right?
Yeah, don't forget to plug it in too.
Right. make sure your television is on channel 3 before you.
That's right.
Right. All right. So that is that. And how are you finding BackerKit, by the way? As a this is your first time on it, and
Well, I am a technological caveman, so it takes me a long time to learn a new process. So it's actually been a lot easier than I thought. I'm very familiar with Kickstarter. We've done 32 Kickstarters now at this point. So very familiar with Kickstarter. This was our first time. Now with Kickstarter, we've never used BackerKit. A lot of people use BackerKit and things like that. I've never used it, so this is like my first introduction. Found it very, very easy to do. There's still some parts where, I'm like, how do I do this? And I got to go hunting or watching YouTube videos, figure it out. But it's manageable.
Yeah. And people were able to find you, obviously, I mean,
People were, yeah. Well, and it really helped. Joseph backed through the, I believe it's Joseph, through the Goodman Games backed the Kickstarter or the backer kit, and that really helped. We picked up roughly an additional $1,000. Right now we're at like the $5,000 mark. So in like 1,000 of that came directly just from, and that's something that's nice about the backer kit is you can actually go in and see the analytics of how the people are getting to you a lot more than is available through like the Kickstarter platform. So I found that really nice.
Yeah, we just Grimsooth was our first time using BackerKit as our primary funding. So we were very impressed with it. That our big concern was just like, is anybody going to know where to find us?
Exactly.
There was a couple of minutes when we launched that campaign, or like somebody didn't push a certain button at some point, so we were sitting there like, normally we're watching that thing ticking up, and they're responding just there. We're like, all right, so Underworld is coming to a close tomorrow, but you have something you're already out there talking about it. So let's talk about Evolved, which is coming in January, I believe, right?
It is, yes.
It's like enjoying a long break in between crowdfunding, right?
Right. Yeah, I get 2 weeks off for the holidays. But yes, coming in January is Evolved, which is our super heroic time traveling RPG. Which is powered by Dungeon Crawl Classics. So whereas a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics stuff, there'll be a lot of third-party stuff, which we publish several things for DCC as well. This one actually is going to be a complete rules tome. So it's going to be, for people who are familiar with like Weird Frontiers, like Dave Beatty's Weird Frontiers, it's going to be like that. It's going to have all the rules you need to play. But of course, it's still going to be compatible with DCC. So if you wanted to bring a warrior, like we're not copying any of that kind of stuff. So if you want a warrior or something like that, you can import that in, and for the most part, you'll run into a few hiccups, but for the most part, you'll find that everything should work just the same. The inspiration, of course, growing up, I was a big comic book nerd, and so my writing partner here at Bloat Games, Josh Palmer, he was always a huge X-Men person. So a few years ago, we did. I'm a Batman. He was X-Men. That was our favorites. And I created a game called Vigilante City, which was like street level superheroes.
It's like on the other side of the river from Ninja City, right? So
very much so. Yes. And so very much low street level stuff. Nothing super. Nothing. No mutant powers, anything like that. Well, then we were looking for another I wanted to do another superhero, and I started thinking of, and immediately I came up with, I said, okay, we did street level. I want to do like X-Men level, and my love of X-Men actually comes from the X-Men cartoon in the 90s that used to be on Fox. So I got with Josh and we talked about it, and he was obviously 100% on. I said, I want to do a game that's kind of like the X-Men Days of Future Past storyline, to where it happens in two different time periods, and so there's some time travel in between, and you might be a teenager in the modern day, and then in the apocalyptic version you hop over and suddenly you're playing the 40 or 50-year-old version of yourself that is a higher level. We brought on Jeff Seifert, who's a great member of like the kind of DCC wider community. He's done a lot of stuff with Bloat Games, a lot of stuff with other DCC stuff. We brought him on, and he really took on, and he kind of became the lead designer. We're at like over a 600-page manuscript, pre-art. So, and we've been playtesting the heck out of it. We really like it. And so we're super excited to be bringing this one, to everybody. We're at Bloat Games, kind of our entry into when I started this, I had online, I was looking at people who played, trying to find people who played like on YouTube who played like first edition Dungeons and Dragons. Somehow or another, I heard about Dungeon Crawl Classics, watched a couple videos on that. Somebody mentioned Spellburn. I joined in and listened to Spellburn from the first episode, and at the time, I think they only had 23 episodes, and like in 2 days, I finished all that. So DCC is very close to my heart and very big reason why we do what we do at Bloat Games. And so this is being able to do it as an actual, DCC rule system game really is something that was important to us, and we're super excited to have that opportunity.
Well, I mean, I think I think you're kind of doing something that people have kind of, they played around with the idea before, but usually like on a much smaller scale. This being kind of like the first self-contained, superhero inspired, DCC powered game is going to be interesting. Did you find much difficulty in adapting the DCC rules for this kind of setting or this type of game?
No, really, there really wasn't. The kind of what we did with so we don't have any mutant powers, we have evolved powers in the game, and one of my favorite things about DCC, and I think one of a lot of people's favorite things, is the spells that come in DCC. So each spell gets its own list, and obviously this of things that can go wrong. And I said, well, what about if we applied that to like mutant abilities? So like the evolved power list is pretty massive, and just like the spell list in DCC, is going to take up like 2/3 of the book. And really going in from that angle, aside from having to come up with rules for like driving cars and things like that, there wasn't as much there was less that I had to change than we thought we were going into it.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty robust. It takes itself very well for mangling and and kind of like squeezing it into different shapes. So I was just curious. It's always a question of mine, and for the most part, people responded, yeah, actually, took a little thinking, but I didn't have to rebuild anything from the ground up. So
yeah.
All right. Well, so I thank you very much for coming on, talking about Underworld and now talking about Evolved. And, I wish you the best of luck with. Is Evolved also going to be on BackerKit, or will that be on Kickstarter?
That will be on Kickstarter. Yeah, that's definitely going to be an official Kickstarter for us. And we've had a few that have been large for us. So when I say large for us, around the 30 to 40,000. We're hoping that this is actually going to be our biggest Kickstarter. We really put our heart and soul, and I can't wait to show people what all is done. If anybody who's interested right now, if you're on Facebook, we have a Facebook community. Just look up Evolved Superheroic Time Travel RPG or Evolved RPG, you'll find it. There's also a Discord community. And once the Kickstarter goes live, in about a week, I'm going to have the actual Kickstarter link where you start signing up for it. Once the Kickstarter goes live, we're going to have you'll be able to download the full 600-page manuscript day one, and then more art and stuff will go into it, and obviously some changes. But we're super proud, and I think that the people who we've shown it to have all responded really, really well to it. So I think it's going to be really big for us.
All right. Well, yeah, I wish you the best of luck on it. And so hopefully 2024 will be the year of everybody's running around playing mutants and playing Evolved and up enjoying all of their Days of Future Past inspired, time travel shenanigans, everything. Yes. I will warn you at home though, be very careful if you decide to cosplay somebody who's in their 40s or 50s, because apparently that's what happened to me.
Oh.
I remember being so young and carefree, and then next thing you know. So, all right, thank you very much, Eric. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and kind of give you folks the skinny, and then we're going to call it a night. So, so stick around for a little while longer. All right. Okay, everybody, let's round things out, and I'll give you the update on some stuff which is happening in this month the holiday season here in the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously, Joe was on a little earlier, and he had some news about the Dark Tower original Adventures Reincarnated. There will be a post on that, and I believe we actually are going to have updates on Dungeon Denizens and X-Crawl in the coming week. But long story short, basically at this point everything is in layout. I just spent the last 2 weeks kind of going over the Dungeon Denizens book with a fine-tooth comb and going through all the X-Crawl adventures with it. So things are moving along, and we're going to have some stuff to share on the Kickstarter updates in the weeks ahead. So stick around for that. We are moving forward, and boy is looking good. All right, you may have noticed it. That when is the MCC annual coming? I don't have a date for that. Great, a lot of things. I'm at the whims of the production schedule, which can change at a moment's notice. So but coming up was announced today. We have the 12 Days of Christmas, the original art. So if you are making a order from the Goodman Games web store starting today, I believe, and if that order is $150 or more, we're going to throw in a free piece of original art by Mr. Brad McDevitt. So this is the perfect thing to use as a stocking stuffer. Don't tell any of your loved ones about, and hold on at home, and be a nice little frame for it. Or if you've ever wanted to start an original art collection, now is the time. However, it's only as supplies last. So we're not making Brad do more, because he's got stuff to do. So if you want to get involved in this one, make sure you order soon, all right? Because I don't know how many there are. I've seen a picture; they look like there are a lot, but coming in February, and this isn't necessarily us, but it might affect not only you at home, but those of you who have been on the show tonight. A little bird has told me that Zine Quest will be back in February. So for those of you who are unaware of what Zine Quest is, basically every year Kickstarter does a big thing where they get people kind of get together and crowdfund various zines. The DCC third-party community has always been big supporters of that. So if you have done Zine Quest in the past, or if you're interested in doing Zine Quest, start putting on your thinking caps and start brainstorming now, because you've got a little bit of time, but not a lot, because soon the word will be out, and then everybody will be storming the Zine Fortress's walls, just trying to get out their stuff. So I have high hopes the DCC community will deliver awesome stuff as always. Also this week on Thursday is the last Road Crew rally of 2023. So if you were involved in the Road Crew, it will be details will be forthcoming on the Goodman Games site. So this is kind of our last chance to talk with Brendan, our Road Crew guru, who will kind of be giving the shakedown of what the year was, and maybe some hints about what's coming in the year ahead. So if you were not part of the Road Crew, you may want to get involved in it, because obviously we're doing a lot of stuff for the Road Crew. We just recently this month we had the Caught in the Mouth of Chaos, which was the 2023 Road Crew Pit Stop. It was an exclusive adventure only available to Road Crew peoples. So Road Crew, awesome. All you need is a place to run some games and just get the word out and say, hey, come play my game. So it's a lot of fun. So if you're thinking about stocking stuffers, this month, well, probably going to arrive too late, but we're going to there's more dice on the world. We have basically, Impact Managers is going to be putting out two sets of, these are going to be the special 7 dice sets. It's just going to be the 7 funky dice, not the whole thing. They will be in festive green and red colors, and they will be available on Wednesday the 20th. So as I said, probably not or soon enough to get in time for the holidays, but you can always shop early for next year. So or give the rule book to your favorite niece or nephew, and then next year, or after you get in January, say, hey, I've got some funky dice. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because coming up, we're also going to have in January 3rd, there's going to be 4 new sets, and these from what I've seen are going to be the whole 14 dice set. These are there's going to be 3 sets of them are from Impact Miniatures, and these are going to be, let me get this right here. We've got Chill Touch, which are going to be glow in the dark dice. So if you're looking for more glow-in-the-dark dice, you get that. There's going to be an opaque indigo color, and there's going to be a ray of frost, which is a kind of a neat icy blue and white, very cryptic. Maybe the sort of thing you want to roll when you're playing Assault on Wishgate 13, really bringing that whole cold atmosphere. That's what we call marketing synchronicity. That's it. It's so. And also Mystic Skulls is going to be a dice set. It's purple dice. How can you not like purple dice? And those are being put out by Monday Night Adventures. So that's basically stuff what's going on at the moment. Purple Planet zines, I do not know. That would be something that actually I would send an email at info@Goodman Games, just because Purple Planet is kind of a Goodman Game IP. But as most people know, we tend to play pretty fast and loose. So if somebody wanted to do something for a third party stuff, I'm sure Joe would say okay, considering we're going to have in February the Purple Planet Horde, which is 6 or 7 third-party publishers producing Purple Planet stuff. So that's just something to think about there. All right, it's the holiday season. We don't want to put out too much stuff. That's what's on the tap. More updates, I said, will be coming through your various Kickstarters, backer updates and what have you. But things are moving forward, and right now, I'm looking forward to some downtime over the holiday season, and I hope those of you who are celebrating this holiday season have a wonderful time. Those of you who are tuning in south of the equator, I hope you're going to have a wonderful summer down there. And I will be back in January, probably not the first Monday in January, because that's January 1st. And the second month of January is going to be the 2024 Indie RPG Summit. So I will probably be back maybe the third week in January to bring you all the things that's new in that. So I'm going to call it for tonight. So thank you again to all my guests for coming on tonight. And thank you for tuning in. Until I see you next time, happy 2024 and have a awesome year. I'm out.